I barely had time to scream before I threw myself out of the rental car, the screech of failing brakes still ringing in my ears as I hit the pavement. The explosion came seconds later, a deafening roar that sent a fireball curling into the London sky, shards of metal raining down like shrapnel on the quiet Kensington street. My hands shook as I scrambled behind a parked van, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. Someone had just tried to kill me. Me, Emily Harper, a 32-year-old cybersecurity analyst from Silicon Valley, who'd flown across the Atlantic for my half-brother Liam's wedding, not a war zone. As the flames licked the twisted wreckage of what used to be my car, one thought burned brighter than the inferno. This wasn't an accident. Someone wanted me gone, and I had a sickening feeling it was tied to the $1,200,000,000 0-cents merger deal my stepfamily was desperate to protect. I'm not the kind of person who panics easily. Growing up in a gritty Manchester suburb, raised by my dad, Tom Harper, in the grease-stained heart of Harper's garage, I learned early how to keep my head when things went sideways. By 10, I could diagnose a car's engine trouble just by listening to its coughs and sputters. By 14, I was hacking into basic car control systems, tweaking fuel injectors for fun, while Dad laughed and called me his tech wizard. He'd ruffle my hair, his calloused hands smelling of motor oil, and say, "Em, your brain's gonna take you places my wrenches never could." Those were the good days, before everything changed, before the fire that took him from me. I was 16 when it happened. A blaze tore through Harper's garage one night, reducing Dad's life's work and him to ashes. The fire chief called it an electrical fault, but I never bought it. The wiring was solid. Dad was meticulous. I had no proof, just a gut feeling that something was off, a suspicion that's haunted me for a decade. Orphaned, I took over the garage, fending off creditors with one hand while hacking together scholarship applications with the other to finish. I was a kid fighting to survive, and I did it alone, until my mother, Catherine, waltzed back into my life. She'd left when I was 3, chasing some vague dream of finding herself. Birthday cards arrived sporadically, postmarked from places I'd never heard of, but she was a ghost until she showed up at 18, married to Charles Warren, billionaire CEO of Warren Tech, a London-based juggernaut in AI and automotive tech. Suddenly, my mother was dripping in diamonds, living in a Kensington mansion, and begging me to join her new family. "You could go to any university, Emily," she'd said, her voice syrupy with promises. "Charles will take care of everything." But Charles came with baggage. His son Liam, 2 years younger than me and being groomed to inherit Warren Tech. His daughter Sophie, my age, a socialite with a permanent smirk, and his ex-wife Victoria, the company's ruthless COO, who still lived in the estate's west wing and wielded influence like a queen. From the moment I met them, it was clear I was an intruder in their polished world. Victoria took one look at my scuffed trainers and said, "Catherine, dear, we must get Emily a proper wardrobe. Those boots won't do." Sophie just laughed, and Liam barely looked up from his phone. I was the coder girl, the outsider, the stain on their pristine legacy. I said no to Charles' money, sold Dad's garage, and clawed my way to MIT on scholarships and grit. Now, I'm a lead cybersecurity analyst at Horizon Dynamics in Silicon Valley, where I exposed vulnerabilities in AI-driven car systems. Systems like Warren Tech's ARC-7, the centerpiece of their $1,200,000,000 0-cents merger with Apex Innovations. I'd built a life on my own terms, far from the Warrens, so when Liam's wedding invitation arrived, I almost shredded it. He was marrying Olivia Bennett, daughter of a U.S. tech mogul whose AI patents were key to the merger. Catherine called, her voice trembling with desperation. "Please, Emily, come for Liam. It would mean the world to me to have both my children there." Against my better judgment, I booked a flight, thinking one weekend couldn't hurt. I was wrong. The car explosion was just the beginning. As I crouched behind the van, sirens wailing in the distance, I replayed the last 24 hours. I'd landed at Heathrow yesterday, jet-lagged but alert, and driven to the Warren estate in Kensington. The place was a fortress of wealth. Manicured gardens, marble fountains, a mansion that screamed old money. My Uber driver whistled as we pulled up. "This is some next-level rich, mate," he said, shaking his head. I tipped him, grabbed my duffel, and waved off a butler who tried to take it. I wasn't here to play princess. Inside the grand foyer was a hive of activity, staff scurrying, flowers being arranged for Liam's wedding. Victoria was there, directing the chaos like a general. She spotted me, her eyes narrowing. "Emily, you made it." No warmth, just a statement, her gaze lingering on my jeans and leather jacket. "Catherine said you'd be joining us. James, show her to her room." No hug, no smile, just dismissal. I forced a grin. "Good to see you too, Victoria." The room was a slap in the face. An attic guest suite, tucked away like an afterthought, with a single window overlooking the service entrance. The message was clear. I wasn't family, just an obligation. I was unpacking when Catherine knocked, her perfume hitting me before her hug. "Emily, honey, you're here." She looked older, her eyes heavy with something unspoken. "How's Silicon Valley? Are you eating enough?" I sidestepped her small talk. "I'm fine, Mom." "Where's Liam? I want to congratulate him." She waved a hand. "Oh, he's in meetings with Charles and the Apex people. Big merger, you know. $1,200,000,000, 0 cents. It's all anyone talks about." Her voice was light, but I caught the strain. The merger was Warren Tech's golden ticket, and Liam's wedding was tangled up in it. I wandered the estate to clear my head, avoiding the bustling wedding prep. That's when I overheard Charles and Liam on the terrace, their voices low but urgent. "The ARC-7 system is revolutionary," Charles was saying. "Apex's patents will make it unstoppable." A man in a sharp suit, some Apex exec, I guessed, chimed in. "And the Bennett patents? Secured?" Liam nodded. "Olivia's father's on board. The wedding seals it." My stomach twisted. Was Liam marrying for love or for a deal? Then the exec asked, "What about the ARC-7's obstacle detection issues? We've heard rumors." Charles laughed it off. "Minor glitches. Our team's on it post-merger." I froze. ARC-7 was an AI-driven autonomous system, and glitches in my world meant crashes, injuries, deaths. As a cybersecurity analyst, I'd seen AI systems fail spectacularly when rushed to market. This wasn't just a glitch. It was a red flag. Before I could process it, Sophie's voice cut through. "Well, look who's eavesdropping. The coder girl herself." She stood in the doorway, a martini in hand, her designer dress screaming money. "Still playing with computers in Silicon Valley?" I stepped back. "Just getting some air, Sophie. Good to see you," she smirked. "Sure. Mom's looking for you. Something about table settings. Try not to break anything." I doubted Victoria wanted me anywhere near her precious arrangements. But I left, my mind racing. That night, dinner was a masterclass in humiliation. Seated at the far end of the table, I watched Charles, Liam, and Victoria dominate the conversation with merger talk. Catherine glanced at me apologetically, but said nothing. I couldn't stay silent. "What about ARC-7's obstacle detection?" I asked. "I've heard it's got serious issues." The room went quiet. Charles's eyes narrowed. "Where did you hear that?" "Industry chatter," I said smoothly. "I work in AI security." Victoria's laugh was sharp. "Emily, dear, stick to your little tech projects. This is billion-dollar business." I held her gaze. "Exactly. That's why safety matters." The dismissal stung, but the look Charles and Liam exchanged told me I'd hit a nerve. The next morning, I decided to make myself useful, helping the overworked event coordinator Sarah with wedding setup. I was arranging tables when the car incident happened. Back at the estate, I was still shaken, but I kept it together, reporting the explosion as a mechanical failure to avoid suspicion. Sarah, grateful for my help, didn't notice my trembling hands. "You're a natural at this," she said, impressed as I fixed a wobbly table. "Engineer's instincts," I replied, forcing a smile. That's when Olivia approached, looking nervous but kind. "You're Emily, right? Liam's stepsister?" I nodded, wiping my hands. "I thought you were staff," she admitted, blushing. "I'm Olivia. Can you help with place cards?" We hit it off instantly, sharing sandwiches in the garden. "This wedding's overwhelming," she confessed. "Victoria's got opinions on everything. My dress, the wine, even my vows." I laughed. "Sounds like her. I'm barely tolerated here." She hesitated, then whispered, "I'm not sure about this merger. My dad's patents are part of it, and it feels like I'm just a bargaining chip." I leaned in. "Have you talked to Liam?" "He says it's just timing," she said, but her eyes were doubtful. "Maybe I'm overthinking it." Before I could respond, Victoria swooped in with her posse of socialites, her smile as sharp as a blade. "Olivia, there you are. The florist needs you." Her gaze slid over me. "I see you've met Emily, Catherine's daughter from her previous life." A socialite raised an eyebrow. "Your wedding planner?" Victoria's smile tightened. "No, dear, Emily's just the coder girl. We keep her around for when systems crash." They laughed, and Catherine, trailing behind, said nothing. Olivia looked mortified, but Victoria whisked her away. The words cut deeper than I expected. 10 years of busting my ass at MIT, exposing flaws that saved lives at Horizon Dynamics, reduced to a punchline. I retreated to my attic room, fury burning through me. I was done playing nice. That's when things got worse. Late that night, I woke to a faint hiss. The air smelled wrong. Chemical. Sharp. My door wouldn't budge. The smart lock was dead. Panic hit as I realized the room was filling with gas. My cybersecurity training kicked in. I grabbed my laptop, hacked the estate's Wi-Fi, and overrode the lock's firmware in under 2 minutes, stumbling into the hallway as my vision blurred. Someone had tampered with the system, and I didn't need to guess who. Victoria's face flashed in my mind, but I had no proof. The next day, I slipped into Warren Tech's office on the estate, a sleek room filled with monitors and locked file cabinets. I wasn't supposed to be there, but curiosity and suspicion drove me. I found a folder marked ARC-7, Confidential. My heart raced as I scanned the specs. The AI's obstacle detection was fatally flawed. In dense urban settings, it could misjudge distances, leading to collisions at high speeds. Worse, handwritten notes read, "Defer fixes to Q2 post-merger. Cost savings critical." They knew. Charles and Victoria were willing to risk lives to seal the deal. I snapped photos with my phone, my hands shaking. Then I saw another file, Project Eclipse. It was encrypted, but a single line stood out. "Neutralize external threats to merger." Was I the threat? Footsteps approached. I shoved the files back, grabbed a wedding itinerary from the desk, and pretended to read it as Charles walked in. "Emily?" His voice was sharp. "What are you doing here?" I held up the itinerary. "Looking for the schedule. Mom said it'd be here." His eyes flicked to the desk, checking for disturbances. "Find what you needed?" "Yep," I lied. "Lots of wedding fun planned." He didn't buy it, but he let it slide. "Your mother said you were helping with setup. Unnecessary. We have staff." "I like to stay busy," I said, edging toward the door. He watched me leave, his gaze like a laser on my back. Back in my room, I analyzed the ARC-7 photos. The flaw was catastrophic. Crashes were inevitable without a complete AI overhaul. I was staring at a corporate cover-up that could kill thousands, but exposing it would torch my fragile ties with Catherine, ruin Liam's wedding, and maybe end my career if Victoria followed through on her threats. I didn't have long to decide. The rehearsal dinner was tonight, and the merger was set to close Sunday morning, right after the wedding. I had to act fast, but every move felt like stepping deeper into a minefield. The dinner was a glittering affair in the estate's gardens, fairy lights twinkling like stars. I stayed on the edges, watching Victoria work the room like a shark, charming apex execs while Liam and Olivia played the happy couple. Olivia caught my eye, her smile strained. I waited for a chance to corner Charles, but before I could, my glass of champagne tasted off bitter, metallic. My throat tightened and dizziness hit. I stumbled to the restroom, forcing myself to vomit just in time. The drink was poisoned. I leaned against the sink, gasping, my reflection pale in the mirror. This wasn't just about a merger anymore. Someone wanted me dead. As I returned to the dinner, shaken but determined, I spotted David Carter, Apex's CEO, by the bar. This was my shot. I straightened, channeling every ounce of Silicon Valley confidence. "Mr. Carter," I said, extending a hand. "Emily Harper, cybersecurity analyst at Horizon Dynamics." He looked surprised but shook my hand. "A friend of the groom?" "Liam's stepsister," I corrected. "I specialize in AI system vulnerabilities. I understand ARC-7 is central to your merger." His interest sharpened. "It's groundbreaking tech. You're familiar with it?" "Enough to know its obstacle detection is flawed," I said, lowering my voice. "It could cause fatal crashes in urban environments." His face darkened. "That's a bold claim. Our team was told it's ready." "It's not," I insisted. "I've seen the specs. The AI misjudges distances under stress. They're planning to fix it after the merger, but that's too late." Victoria appeared like a storm cloud, Charles trailing her. "Emily, boring David with tech talk on Liam's big night." Her smile was venomous. David frowned. "She's raising serious concerns about ARC-7. Charles stepped in. "She's speculating, David. No access to our data." I held my ground. "I've seen enough to know it's a disaster waiting to happen." Victoria's eyes flashed. "This is a wedding, not a tech audit. Emily, your mother needs you." David held up a hand. "I want to hear this. If there's a flaw, we need to know before we sign tomorrow." The air crackled with tension. I'd just thrown a grenade into their perfect plan, and there was no going back. The air in the Warren Estates garden was thick with the scent of roses and champagne, but all I could taste was the bitter residue of betrayal. My throat still burned from the poison I'd forced out of my system in the restroom, my hands trembling as I gripped the edge of a table, pretending to admire the floral arrangements. The rehearsal dinner sparkled around me, guests in tailored suits and glittering gowns, string lights casting a fairy tale glow over the meticulously curated chaos of Liam's wedding to Olivia Bennet. But beneath the surface, I was drowning in a sea of secrets, each one more dangerous than the last. I'd just dropped a bombshell on David Carter, Apex Innovations CEO, about the fatal flaw in Warrantech's ARC-7 AI system. A flaw that could turn autonomous cars into death traps. Victoria Warren's icy glare burned into me from across the garden, her fake smile barely holding as she realized I'd ignited a fuse that could blow her $1,200,000,000 0 cents merger to pieces. Charles, my stepfather, stood beside her, his face a mask of controlled fury. I'd crossed a line and I knew the cost would be steep. But as the weight of their stares pressed down, one thought kept me steady. I wasn't just fighting for truth anymore. I was fighting to survive. The dinner was in full swing, the clink of glasses and laughter a cruel contrast to the storm brewing inside me. I'd survived a car explosion, a gas leak in my room, and now a poisoned drink. All within 48 hours. Someone wanted me gone, and the list of suspects was short. Victoria, with her venomous dismissal of me as just the coder girl, had the most to lose if the merger collapsed. Charles, the billionaire CEO of Warrantech, had offered me a job earlier today, his smile too calculated to be genuine. A bribe to keep me quiet, I was sure. And then there was Liam, my half-brother, who'd hesitated when I'd confronted Charles about ARC-7's dangers, his loyalty torn between family and the truth. Even my mother, Catherine, had betrayed me, leaking my location to Victoria, which led to the gas leak ambush. The Warren estate, with its marble halls and manicured lawns, felt like a gilded cage, and I was the prey. I slipped away from the crowd, needing air and a moment to think. The garden's edge, where the lights faded into shadow, offered a brief reprieve. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. Check your email, you're not alone. My pulse quickened. I opened my secure email app, the one I used for Horizon Dynamics classified projects, and found a new message from an anonymous sender. The subject line read, Project Eclipse. My breath caught. I'd seen that name in the Warrantech files, buried in encrypted folders I hadn't had time to crack. The email contained a single attachment, a grainy photo of my father's garage, taken the night it burned. Scrawled in red across the image were the words, "They knew." My knees buckled. Was this proof that Dad's death wasn't an accident? Did Warrantech have a hand in it, tied to their early AI experiment? The anonymous whistleblower, whoever they were, had just thrown me a lifeline and a landmine in one go. Before I could process it, a hand grabbed my arm, yanking me into the shadows. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Victoria's voice was a low hiss, her nails digging into my skin. Her perfect composure was gone, replaced by raw fury. "You think you can waltz in here, play the hero, and ruin everything we've built." I wrenched my arm free, my own anger flaring. "I'm not the one building death traps, Victoria. ARC-7's AI will kill people, and you know it." Her eyes narrowed, cold and calculating. "You have no idea what's at stake. This merger isn't just about money. It's about power, control, the future of this industry. You're a nobody, Emily. A coder girl who should have stayed in her lane." I stepped closer, refusing to back down. "Call me what you want, but I've seen the specs. You're pushing a flawed system to market to save a few bucks. That's not business. That's criminal." She laughed, a brittle sound that sent a chill down my spine. "You think you're untouchable because you work for Horizon Dynamics? I can make one call, Emily. One call and your career is over. I'll have you blacklisted as a corporate spy before you can blink." The threat landed like a punch, but I held her gaze. "Try it. I've got backups of everything. Photos, specs, your little post-merger optimization notes. Push me, and I'll leak it all." Her face paled, but before she could respond, Charles appeared, his expression unreadable. "Victoria, enough. David Carter wants to speak with us now." He glanced at me, his voice low. "Emily, you're playing a dangerous game. Think about your mother before you make your next move." The mention of Catherine stung, but I didn't flinch. "I'm thinking about the people who will die if you don't fix ARC-7. You should try it sometime." As they walked away, I leaned against a tree, my mind racing. Victoria's threat wasn't empty. She had the connections to ruin me. But the anonymous email and that photo of Dad's garage changed everything. If Warrantech was involved in his death, this wasn't just about a merger anymore. It was personal. I needed answers, and I needed them fast. The wedding was tomorrow, and the merger papers were set to be signed Sunday morning. I had less than 36 hours to expose the truth without losing everything. The next morning, the estate was a whirlwind of wedding prep, but I was on a mission. I slipped into Warrantech's office again, my heart pounding as I bypassed the security system with a quick hack. The Project Eclipse folder was still there, but the encryption was military grade. I plugged in a USB drive with my custom decryption software, praying it would work before someone caught me. As the progress bar crawled, I rifled through more ARC-7 files, finding emails between Victoria and Charles. One stood out, dated 2 weeks ago, regarding Emily Harper's attendance. Ensure she's kept out of all merger discussions. Her cybersecurity background makes her a liability. Focus on securing Bennett's patents through Liam's marriage. Another email from Victoria to an unknown recipient read, Project Eclipse must remain classified. Neutralize any risks before Sunday. My blood ran cold. Was I the risk? And what was Project Eclipse? The decryption software pinged, but before I could open the file, the door burst open. 2 masked figures in black charged in, one smashing my laptop with a crowbar while the other grabbed me, pinning my arms. "Where's the drive?" the first growled, his voice muffled. I kicked hard, catching his shin, and twisted free, but the second swung a fist. I ducked, grabbing a paperweight from the desk and hurling it at his head. It connected with a crack, and he stumbled, giving me just enough time to snatch the USB and sprint for the door. I didn't stop running until I reached the garden, my chest heaving. My laptop was gone, but the drive was safe. For now. The attack confirmed it. Someone at Warrantech was willing to kill to protect their secrets. I hid the USB in my room, taping it under a loose floorboard, and headed to the rehearsal brunch. My nerves frayed, but my resolve ironclad. Olivia found me, her face pale. "Emily, I heard about the lab break-in. Are you okay?" I nodded, scanning the crowd for suspicious faces. "I'm fine, but things are getting ugly. What do you know about Project Eclipse?" Her eyes widened. "I've heard Liam mention it, some top-secret Warrantech project. He wouldn't tell me more." Her voice dropped. "I'm scared, Emily. Liam's changed. He's so focused on this merger. It's like I'm just a contract clause." I squeezed her hand. "You're more than that. I'm going to fix this, Olivia. For both of us." The brunch was interrupted by a surprise merger meeting in the estate's boardroom, streamed live to Apex's investors. Charles and Victoria were pitching ARC-7's revolutionary capabilities, but I saw my chance. I slipped into the room, heart pounding, and interrupted. "Excuse me, but ARC-7's AI has a fatal flaw. It misjudges obstacles in urban settings, risking crashes and deaths." The room went silent. Charles's face reddened. "Emily, you're out of line. This is proprietary. It's dangerous," I cut in, holding up my phone with the ARC-7 specs. "I've got proof. You're rushing this to market to save costs, and people will pay with their lives." The live stream chat exploded, investors demanding answers. Victoria's voice was ice. "You're making baseless accusations." Security, remove her. But David Carter, watching from the front, raised a hand. "Let her speak. If this is true, we need to know." I laid it all out. Technical details, failure rates, the deferred fixes. The room was a powder keg, and I'd just lit the match. Charles accused me of stealing data, but David wasn't buying it. "We're pausing the merger until we verify this," he said, his tone final. Victoria rounded on me as the meeting ended. "You've just cost this family billions. You'll regret this." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a new email from the whistleblower. "Meet me at the Thames dock. Midnight, ring the drive. Trust no one." My stomach dropped. Was this a lifeline or a trap? That night, I drove to the dock, the USB burning a hole in my pocket. London's streets were slick with rain, and my nerves were on edge. A black SUV appeared in my rear view, tailing me too closely. I floored it, weaving through traffic, but the SUV kept pace, its headlights blinding. It rammed my bumper, nearly sending me into a spin. I swerved onto a side street, then another, until I lost them near the river. My hands shook as I parked, the Thames looming dark and silent. The whistleblower never showed. Instead, my phone lit up with a call from Catherine. "Emily, where are you?" Victoria knows you're out there. She's furious. I froze. Mom, did you tell her where I was? Silence. Then, I didn't mean to. She pressured me. The betrayal cut deeper than any poison. My own mother had sold me out. I returned to the estate, shaken but undeterred. The wedding was hours away, and I had one last chance to confront Liam. I found him in the library, looking exhausted. Liam, you knew about Arc 7's flaw, didn't you? He flinched. I told Dad we needed to fix it, but he said it was under control. It's not, I snapped. And now someone's trying to kill me to keep it quiet. Are you part of this? His face crumpled. No, Emily, I swear. I'm trapped in this as much as Olivia is. The merger, the marriage, it's all Dad and Victoria. For the first time, I saw my half-brother, not the Warren heir. Help me stop this, I said. He nodded, uncertain but resolute. I will, after the wedding. The ceremony was a spectacle. White roses, a string quartet. Olivia radiant but tense in her gown. I sat in the back, isolated, my mind on the USB and the whistleblower's warning. During the reception, I approached David Carter again, laying out the full scope of Arc 7's dangers. Victoria and Charles tried to intervene, but Liam stepped forward, shocking everyone. She's right, he said, his voice steady. I ignored the flaw because Dad told me to. That was wrong. The room gasped. David's face hardened. This merger is off until we tear Arc 7 apart and rebuild it. Victoria looked ready to scream, but she held it together, her eyes promising retribution. As the reception continued, Catherine found me, tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry, Emily. I let Victoria control me for too long. I'm done. She hugged me, and for the first time in years I felt her strength, not her weakness. The crowd parted as David offered me a role consulting on Arc 7's redesign. You've got the expertise we need, he said. I accepted, not for Warrentech, but for the lives I could save. As I looked at Liam, Olivia, and Catherine, I realized I'd found something I hadn't expected. A family worth fighting for. The whistleblower's email flashed in my mind, along with Project Eclipse and the photo of Dad's garage. The fight wasn't over. Someone was still out there, watching, waiting. But I was ready.